Welcome to another episode of Into the Deep. If this is your first time joining us, I want to say welcome. If you've been rocking with us since season 1, thank you for staying in the water. Listen, I want you to do me a favor. Take a moment to go like, share, and subscribe. Go to our website, become a deep diver, www.intothedeeppodcast.org. Become a part of our community, our family. And I promise you, you won't regret it. Listen, this is season 2, episode 1, where we're starting where many people like to avoid. But no, this is where freedom began. Today, I want to talk about something that's very interesting that I had to overcome, that I had to deal with, and it's actually healing emotional wounds. Not surface healing, not pretending it didn't hurt, but letting God touch the places to learn, watch this, where we learned to survive instead of heal. I want to deal with that today. I want you to get to a place where we actually identify some emotional wounds that have really hurt us, but we got to identify. And I want to be very honest with a lot of us. Some of you don't need another prayer. You just need permission to be honest. You just need permission to sit still and think about what actually took place. And then you allow God in this present moment to heal that wound because you were transparent and you were honest with God and yourself. You got to be honest about what hurt you. You must be honest about what changed you. You got to be honest about what you survived but never healed from. We put a Band-Aid on it, but we really never got to the surface and got to the place on why we were wounded in the first place. This season, God is not just removing things from us. He's restoring what pain took from us. I want y'all to catch that real quickly. And tonight, we are going deep, deep, deep. We're going into the deep. Not to relive the pain, but to finally let God heal it. That's what we're going to deal with in this episode. So let me set the record straight. Deliverance does not fail because demons are strong. Deliverance fail when the wounds are ignored. Easy. An emotional wound is an unresolved trauma or pain that affects thoughts, emotions, and or behavior. Healing removes the sting, not the memory. I want to say that. Sometimes we have to get to a place where we identify that just because we're healed, we forgot about it. No, you may have you may have a thought here or there, but it don't erase the memory. And because it don't erase the memory, you got to deal with it head on before living your mind rent free. Today, we want to identify some emotional wounds. Here's a few signs of a person who may deal or who may have emotional wounds. Number 1, we deal with inner rawness. It is a constant internal pain that never fully settles. It feels like being emotionally exposed, as if something inside of you is still bleeding, even though life looks normal for you, even though you're smiling, even though you're happy. You're dealing with this. You wake up tired, no matter how much sleep you got. You smile, you function, you show up, but inside you feel fragile. One comment, one disappointment, one reminder could make you shut down or cry. Or watch this, or even though you can't explain why, you're having an emotional problem, you're having an emotional moment, and then you say to yourself, well, I don't know what's wrong. Maybe I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. These are the excuses that we use when we're dealing with emotional wounds. Number 2, you gotta understand that irritability comes along with that. Irritability is an unresolved pain, makes small things feel real big. The wounds shorten your emotional fuse, causing frustration even when there's no real threat. Somebody asking you a simple question irritates you. Traffic, noise, small inconvenience, feeling overwhelmed. You're not angry at the situation, but you're reacting to the pain that's been sitting too long. Yeah. That's happened. You're always irritated for no reason. Number 3, you deal with low tolerance. Like your tolerance level is so low, it's ridiculous. Low tolerance, it deals with the pain that hardens the heart. When someone is wounded, they expect others to meet unrealistic standards because grace has been replaced by self-protection. Easy. You got to deal with that. When people make mistakes, you feel disrespected instead of understanding. You expect others just to know. Well, you should know that's how I feel. You should know this is what I like. That wasn't communicated. What do you need because you're tired of being disappointed? You expect others to automatically pick up how you feel and how you should react and how you should respond. But again, they're not you. But then you got to deal with, even after that, you want to deal with your emotions rises up quickly. What does that mean? It means that your stored emotions resurface quickly because they were never healed. Anger, resentment, bitterness, it erupts when the wound is touched. It's just like putting a Band-Aid on a wound, but you never put any ointment or anything to treat the wound before you put the Band-Aid on it. What you did was you put the bandage on, let the blood dry up. After a few days or a few years or a few months, you remove the Band-Aid. Now you have developed a scab. Now you have a scab there. Here's the problem. That scab begins to itch. Yeah. What do? You scratch it. Now that you scratched that scab has now came off and now bleeding started again. A small disagreement turns into a big, emotional reaction. Later, you realize your response didn't match the moment, but then it did match your old heart, your old hurt, the old pain. And then you find yourself apologizing in a season where you should have just kept quiet. Make sense? I want to deal with, y'all forgive my red cup up here, it's okay. We're in our personal space. And I want to say, actually, I hope you all are enjoying this because this is something we want to deal with. And this is something I believe that we got to get to the surface level of this healing place. Y'all ready? So outside of that, you got to address the sensitivity to your past. When a memory still controls your reaction, it reveals an unhealed wound connected to that moment. That pain is still alive. Now, people could say, oh, I forgave that person, or I'm healed from that situation. Yeah, you are, until you see that person again, or that person shows up, or that person calls you. Someone's tone, correction, or their raised voice instantly puts you on the edge. And then you're reacting to the past, not the present. But then you got to deal with being very difficult to forgive. These are emotional wounds. Forgiveness feels impossible when the heart is still injured. This can affect forgiving others, yourself, or even God. Listen, when I went through my traumatic childhood, I was so mad at God because I'm like, you gave me these people, you put me here, you allowed me to go. I really had a moment where I was mad at God, and God was like, why are you mad at me? Because a lot of stuff that happened to you, you put your own self in that situation. You never asked me, was this the right person to trust? Was this the right place to go? No, you just did it. And when you got hurt, you wanted me to bring you out of it. Now you say, I forgive them, but their names still trigger emotions. You replay what happened and feel the same anger or hurt every time. Every time that person's name is mentioned, you're having a problem. You're having a moment. You're trying to figure out, dang, why you bring that person's name up? That's an emotional wound. Another sign that you have an emotional wound is that it's hard to feel love. Excuse me. It's hard to feel love. Love is patient, but the wound blocks reception. Emotional walls prevent connection even when people genuinely care about you. See, some of you all think having walls up is a sign of protection. It's not. It's a dangerous guard that blocks the flow or what God actually has for you, for your heart to receive. We got to deal with that. Y'all put these walls up and say, well, you know what? I'm guarding myself. I'm protecting myself. No. Because then if the wall is up and people don't believe that, it's very hard for even God to get in. It's okay to have discernment. It's okay to watch. It's okay to pray. It's okay to identify patterns. But if everybody who comes into your life, you treat them as an attack, you treat them as a threat, then who is the heart surgeon is actually going to be the one that heals the heart? Well, God's going to heal me. Well, God also does that through people. Come on, my bishop says it all the time. He said we can't be so caught up to look for the God in the sky, to where we miss God in the pew. God has sent people in the natural who will be assigned to help you come out of what you're going through. People show up for you. They compliment you. They support you, but it never feels real or lasting. You assume love will disappear because of your trauma, because of your pain. Love never lasts. So now you feel like everybody's going to do what happened to you. Another sign you have an emotional wound is that you're always lashing out. Always. The pain seeks release. When wound festers, anger escapes through sudden outbursts. You wonder why just out of nowhere you going crazy. And then often it can be towards people who ain't did nothing to you. You snap at your family, your coworkers, then you regret it later. You wonder why you ain't invited to the barbecue, why you can't come over no more. Because every time you come over, every time there's a family function, every time something's going on, you got to cut a food. The anger wasn't even about them. It was about unspoken pain. You mad at your family about something that you have never revealed unto them. You mad at your husband, or you mad at this person for the offense that you never told them that offended you. You never told them. So now you're lashing out because you're expecting them to be sensitive or to feel your pain, but they don't know nothing about your pain. Then you got to deal with anger towards God. Pain misdirected towards God creates spiritual distance. Disbelief quietly blocks healing because trust is broken. You've now got to a place like, God, I want to trust you, but I feel this way. You still believe in God, but deep down you feel disappointed and resentful because, watch this, prayer feels distant and worship now feels forced. So now you're finding yourself in a place where you're like, dang, I'm trying to figure out why I don't feel close to God. Why do I feel disconnected from God? Why is God quiet? It's because you have some resentment, you have some disappointment, you have some anger towards God. Then you got to deal with self-hate. Self-hate. Victims, watch this, they internalize blame. Instead of seeing abuse or harm as wrong, the wounded heart, the wounded pain believes that something must be wrong with me. Oh, if that happened to me, that means something's wrong with me, or I'm not pretty enough, or I'm not this. You start blaming yourself because of something that happened to you by your offender. You constantly criticize yourself. You replay the mistakes and the struggles to believe you're worthy of love or grace. You're trying to make sure in your brain, well, am I a wife? Am I a husband? Am I called? Am I this? You start questioning who you are because of what someone did to you, and now you don't really love you. Another sign of an emotional wound is escapism. Now, everybody can probably testify to that. Y'all forgive me here. Here in Florida, it's been 35 degrees. So I'm just being on top and being proactive and drinking tea. So for those of you all who see this red cup up here, it's all right. Listen, this is again, I told you, this is not a stage. This is a table. So come to our table. All right. So, excuse me. So you deal with escapism. It is the avoiding pain through distractions or addictions. You escape the conversation. You escape the thought. You try to do something to make your mind forget, or you don't want to deal with it. You're a runner. I was a runner. If I had to confront it, if I had to talk about it, nah, we'll find something else to talk about. Like I'm gonna change the subject quick, fast, in a hurry. You escape instead of deal with, right? Another wound that a lot of us probably want to deal with is hopelessness. When your wound blocks God's love, the future feels empty. Healing feels unreachable. You're not suicidal, but you do feel stuck. Life feels like survival, not expectation. There's a difference. I'm not saying you're depressed. I'm not saying you're suicidal. I'm not saying that you want to, leave the earth. But what I'm saying is you do feel stuck, and you're just going with the flow at this point. Can you identify with that? Can you say, yeah, I felt like that. I've dealt with that before. But then a lot of us, including myself, have dealt with this. Your obsessive compulsive tendencies, that OCD, that OCD that you got, it controls a coping mechanism for emotional chaos, often rooted in fear or self-hate. You are strict and consistent with your routines. Checking or controlling details bring temporary peace in the world that felt unsafe. Listen, I once was like that. When I tell you my OCD was bad, man, that thing got bad. Like, let me see. Toilet paper, upside down, I have a fit. Toothpaste that was squoze from the middle and not the bottom up, I'm throwing the whole thing in the trash. Fast, quick. Any towels or washcloths in my house after 2 months going in the trash. Like, we didn't wash it and we've washed it enough. Silverware, after 2 months, gone. I didn't use bleach because I didn't believe bleach really killed germs. Like, it was bad. My sheets had to be a certain thread count. Yeah, I didn't wear white socks. And to this day, I don't wear white socks. I don't wear white socks. These were wounds that I had to identify. And I'm like, why am I this way? Why do I have to have it this way? And when it's not done this way, then why am I mad? Or why do I feel like it's wrong? Because I dealt with an emotional wound. That was this OCD. That's a part of the emotional wound that I had to identify and I had to heal. And then you got to find yourself in this place that a lot of us deal with. It is drivenness. It's a void inside that creates endless striving, success, money, achievements, trying to feel what only healing can restore. You can't slow down. Like, you're an overachiever. You will get your master's degree, you will get your doctorate degree, and then you still ain't satisfied. You done got every promotion that was under the sun. You didn't got every financial breakthrough, blessing, healing, increase, still not happy. You're pushing yourself. Stillness forces you to feel pain you've been avoiding. That's why you don't like to be still. That's why you're always moving. You're always finding yourself doing something. If you recognize that, I got to slow down, but then you don't slow down, then we got a problem. We got a problem. So listen, if you recognize yourself in this list, it don't mean you're broken. No, it don't mean you're broken. It just means something happened and God wants to heal it. That's it. Healing begins right now with honesty, forgiveness, transparency with God. You gotta find yourself being very honest with God. That's the first place. That's why he said, come unto me. Come here, Bible. All who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. You'll find it in Matthew 11:28. So today, I want you to take a moment to do a self-examination. Identify your wound. Identify the pain. Identify the trauma. And if you find yourself in any one of these, come back next week. So now we can talk about how to heal, how to unpack, how to, watch this, deal with the hurt. Listen, I thank you for giving me your space, your time. I thank you for this opportunity. Listen, go and follow us. Our social media, I need you to blow it up. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Google. Go to our website, create traffic. Let people know that Into the Deep podcast is present. And we're getting ready to do something that has not been done. Come on. We're getting ready to touch. And we're getting ready to open and expose wounds, pain, trauma, resentment, rejection, abandonment. We're going to teach men in this season how to deal with your emotions. And we're going to teach women how to rest. Thank you for being a part of this room, this table, and this moment. I'm Raheem Warren. I want you to know that we're diving deep. Catch you next week.